Greetings everyone, and welcome to a series rooted in optimism for the future of humankind. In this episode, we'll take a look at the most important feature of a holographic universe that sets it apart from mainstream physics, and that is the shape of the universe. The shape of the universe determines the shape of everything in the universe, because at every level, everything in the universe is a microcosm of the whole universe. This is the universal shape that would form the basis of a complete revolution in physics. In my previous video, I discussed the holographic principle that the macrocosm contains the microcosm, and the microcosm contains the macrocosm. Therefore, as you step down to smaller and smaller levels of reality, you should find the same repeating pattern all the way down to the atom. Each of these should be a microcosm of the universe. Now, of course, these shapes you're looking at aren't all the same, so what shape am I talking about? I'm referring to the universal shape of the energy in the deeper level. So the question is actually, what is the deeper level shape of the universe? Or, what is the physics behind the physics we perceive? In episode 4, we discussed the mainstream conclusion that space and time are not fundamental properties of nature. They emerge from a deeper reality in which neither exist. In other words, at a deeper level, some spaceless, timeless components must be combining to form the space and time we perceive, and we therefore say that space-time is emergent. Our intuitive picture of reality, of space and time, is wrong, said theoretical physicist Brian Cox. The idea that this place is close to this place and that time ticks along is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because our intuitive picture of reality tells us that when we look around, we're seeing the world exactly as it is. That reality is reality, and there is only one reality. And if we see space between two people, then it's because there's space between two people. But now, physicists are concluding that there must be another level of reality behind this level that we perceive, a deeper level in which space and time do not exist. So, in fact, our reality is not as it seems. There are two layers of reality. To make it easier to label and discuss these two layers, I will place the deeper level at the bottom of the screen like this. The reality we perceive around us can now be called an emergent reality, because it emerges from the deeper level. If we assume there is no other deeper level beyond this one, then the deeper level can be called the fundamental reality. This should be where the fundamental physics that has eluded physicists for so long can be found. This is the physics behind the current paradigm of physics. This is the physics that describes how our reality emerges from spaceless, timeless components. Now, to understand how severely this undermines current physics, consider the Big Bang theory, which proposes that space and time, as we know it, began about 13.8 billion years ago when the universe began expanding from something the size of a tiny point. The Big Bang theory was first proposed after scientists noticed that the universe seemed to be expanding. They then used the laws of physics to rewind this expansion back in space and time, concluding that the universe was once in a hot, dense state, smaller than a grain of sand. But if you rewind one more moment, you get infinite density, which is physically impossible. So how did our universe begin? This is one of the unsolved mysteries of the Big Bang theory. But in this picture, the Big Bang takes on a completely different perspective. In the fundamental reality, it becomes meaningless to talk of the beginning of space and time as we know it, since space and time don't exist fundamentally. So in the fundamental reality, the concept of a Big Bang is meaningless. This matches what channeled information says, that there was no Big Bang, and the universe is not expanding. Channeled information also speaks of the universal form as being a torus. Here is an example of a torus showing energy flowing in an infinite loop. The infinite loop is the general idea behind the universal form, though not necessarily in the way depicted in this graphic. More specifically, the universal form is referred to as a combination of a black hole and a white hole. So in the holographic model, the deeper level shape of the universe is a torus, and this also applies to all these other microcosms of the macrocosm. The torus is then the physics behind the physics we perceive. And in the alternate view, we can show the torus in a deeper level at the bottom of the screen. I'm also going to give this new fundamental physics a name, toroidal physics, since it is based on the form of a torus. According to channeled information, the universal torus comprises two counter-rotating waveforms, or waveforms traveling in opposite directions. One of these waveforms forms a black hole and is magnetic, and the other forms a white hole and is electric. Together they form what I will call a grey hole torus, which is electromagnetic. I am using simplified graphics for now in order to cover the basic principles, and in upcoming episodes I will explore the shape of the grey hole torus in more detail. The most important point for now is that waves travelling in opposite directions create a standing wave, or vibratory pattern. The vibratory pattern is difficult to show in 3 dimensions, but can be likened in principle to the 2-dimensional waves created by cymatics. In my previous video, we saw examples of early life forms in cymatic images. The image on the left is the cymatic image produced by light shining on vibrating water, while a set of frequencies is played through a loudspeaker in order to create the vibrations. Operating under the same principle, the counter-rotating waves in a torus could self-generate these vibratory frequencies and produce the forms we see in nature, as will be discussed in an upcoming video. So we could say that cymatics is a man-made form generator, and toroidal physics is nature's form generator. Now, in any physics revolution such as this, the new physics must not contradict the current laws of physics. These laws have been built up over centuries and verified through empirical evidence and the scientific method. Rather, the new physics must solve problems and fill in gaps of the current physics. In other words, toroidal physics must fit in with where current physics is, and where physicists are seeking to take it. So let's start off by asking, does toroidal physics address the biggest problem in current physics? I think most physicists would agree that quantum gravity tops the list of biggest unsolved problems in physics. This problem can be stated very simply. The 2 theories that make up modern physics, namely quantum physics and general relativity, are incompatible with each other. There is a fundamental contradiction between them, so they can't simultaneously be true. Let me explain this in a bit more detail. About a century ago, physics became split when physicists began to zoom in on the microscopic realm of atoms, only to find that the physics in this realm was quite different to the physics of the macroscopic realm. So the laws of quantum physics apply to atoms and particles, while the laws of general relativity apply everywhere else. General relativity is Einstein's theory of gravity, which also came into effect about a century ago. It replaces Newton's theory of gravity, which is what we generally learn in school. So you can basically think of quantum physics as the theory of the micro world, and general relativity as the theory of the macro world. The fact that these 2 theories fundamentally contradict each other means that current physics theory is not possible as it stands, and physicists need to find a single unified theory, a theory that unites these 2 pillars of modern physics, a theory that works for everything from the very biggest right down to the very smallest. This unified theory is called quantum gravity because it unites quantum physics with the theory of gravity. It's been a holy grail of physics for over 100 years. Einstein himself worked on it for the last 3 decades of his life without success. This is probably why physicist Matt O'Dowd refers to it as the hardest problem in physics.
Between them, general relativity and quantum mechanics seem to describe all of observable reality, and yet they can't be simultaneously true. They must be united in a deeper yet undiscovered theory. After a century of work by the greatest minds in all of physics, why does this union still elude us?
So now we can see how toroidal physics fits into the picture of current physics. It seeks to become the deeper, yet undiscovered theory that unites general relativity and quantum physics into a single unified theory. It achieves this unification by proposing that a deeper level torus can explain the mysteries and contradictions plaguing these two incompatible theories. It seeks to become the Holy Grail theory referred to as quantum gravity. We have now explored the first 5 principles of the universal structure based on channeled information. If physicists discover that these principles are correct, it would indicate that channeled information understands the true nature of physics and has solved mysteries that have confounded the greatest minds in all of physics for more than a century. Once physicists examine channeled information, they are likely to conclude that channelers are indeed channeling some kind of advanced intelligence, especially if toroidal physics can explain how channeling works. So let's watch this space as physicists strive to solve their biggest unsolved mystery, the deeper level theory of quantum gravity. If a grey hole torus turns out to be the right answer, the scientific community could soon become very interested in the world of channeled information, a development which could lead to far-reaching consequences for just about every aspect of our society. So in the videos ahead, I will continue to explore the grey hole torus and how its existence could be verified.